NDS TV from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Dick Lutz with Mike Morin. It's week 2 of our 5th ladder series. Last week, Ed Woodside, a 166 first string and an easy win over Mike Morgan. He moves up the ladder.
And Shawn Baker, who wouldn't be here had it not been for a 187 in the qualifying round, moving from 21st to number 3. So big games come into play sometimes, can make all the difference in the world.
Let's meet our bowlers this afternoon. Our second match of our 5th ladder series. Last week's winner, our number 4 seed from Saugus, Massachusetts. Let's welcome Ed Woodside.
Ed Woodside, average 125. High single is 189. Thought he might break that last week. High triple at 501, bowling out of Central Park Lanes in East Boston and the Traveling Pro League on Fridays.
Ed rolled a 661 in the roll-off to earn the number 4 seed. Began last week with 6 marks in a row on his way to a 412 triple. He meets number 3 seed, Shawn Baker from Lynn, Massachusetts.
We saw Shawn 2 weeks ago when he lost in the championship round to Jeff Surratt, so he's back to give another shot today. His average is 130, his high single is 213, high triple at 484. Shawn Baker does his bowling at Lucky Strike Lanes in Lynn, and he also is on the Pro League as well.
Shawn rolled a 666 in the roll-off to earn the number 3 seed. Another battle of the North Shore. Ed Woodside from Saugus, Shawn Baker from Lynn. We're coming right back with this afternoon's match right after this on WNDS TV's Candlepin Stars and Strikes. We began with 5 outstanding bowlers. We're down to 4 with Ed Woodside's 412 to 373 victory over Mike Morgan last week. Up the ladder we go. Shawn Baker this week with Anthony Pastore and Gary Carrington waiting in the wings, and Ed Woodside will be first to bowl here this afternoon at Leda Lanes, taking on number 3 seed Shawn Baker. We're happy to have you with us for Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Ed Woodside began last week with 6 consecutive marks. He went spare, strike, spare, strike, spare, spare, open, strike, spare 10 for his 165, and he begins with a mark. Likes to start fast, doesn't he?
He did last week, and it ended in a 412 triple and a substantial victory over Mike Morgan. Shawn Baker still red hot after having a 401 a couple of weeks ago, but it wasn't enough as he lost to Jeff Surratt. I'm sorry, at 406, losing by 1 pin.
Oh my goodness, look at the pins fall here. He had the 5-7-10, and now it's just a 7 pin as the 5 and the 10 wobble down. Playing the wood, he missed the spare.
I think there was room to put the ball in cleanly, but certainly not much margin of error.
That'll be a 10 box for Ed Woodside. Now our first look this week, certainly not our first look at Shawn Baker, a familiar
2 weeks ago
bowler on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Lost to Joe Stella, 401 to 357. Shawn's just 28 years old. Starts off with a 10 box. And when you talk about young Candlepin bowlers who fire the ball, one of the first names you think of is Shawn Baker, because he rears back and fires. There's a strike. Great strike by Shawn Baker, his first mark of the match. Is he about the hardest thrower that we see?
Certainly he's got to be up there, Dick. I was thinking about that. There are a couple that might exceed him, but not by much.
Ed Woodside answers.
Right back at you, he says, for the second mark in 3 frames.
Watch it again, right in the 1-3 pocket. Back to action again, right in the 1-3 pocket. There they go. When Ed Woodside steps to the line next, he'll be shooting at a $625 triple strike jackpot.
And he did hit it, Dick, a couple of years ago. In fact, 4 years ago for $525. And I believe Shawn Baker has also hit our triple strike jackpot. $625 back about 3 years ago.
I was going to say Ed will be shooting at a $625 jackpot unless Shawn hits it first, because Shawn had a strike going into this 2-box set. He could have done it. He's got another mark. Isn't it great when you watch bowlers who get red hot and they just start knocking everything down? Shawn right in the pocket again, looking for 3 marks in a row. That's the 2-pin that's still standing. He's looking for $50 in bonus money right here, Shawn Baker. And he's got it right on the pin. 3 marks in a row for Shawn. $50 in bonus money for Shawn Baker, but here's the big shot. $625 riding on this one for Ed Woodside, and the triple strike jackpot. On lane 34, not much needs to be said. You watch. Just that close. Played the wood and got it. Didn't think he was going to get it, but he got it. $50 in bonus money for Ed Woodside. For 3 marks in a row. Watch it again. Did it look like it was going to go at this point? It sure didn't, and then it got tapped. He threw a bad ball there, and it's a half Worcester.
It's too bad, because last week in his 5th box, he had 99 for the first half, and this time 89. Could have been well into the 90s with a better fill.
And a spare, converting the half Worcester. 4 marks in a row for Ed Woodside. 5 marks in 6 boxes. He had 6 in a row to start last week. What action. Man, oh man.
And he could have had a spare in the second frame when he missed the single
Sure.
pin that had a little wood around it, the 7-pin.
Shawn Baker responds with a strike. 4 marks in a row.
And the fans here at Leda Lanes are eating every strikeout. They're loving it, as we hope you at home are as well.
Oh, right in the pocket. A solid 5-pin. You talk about a solid tap.
Yeah, he makes this. The score is tied at 89 through 5.
That's about as solid a 5-pin as you'll see. He's right on it. The mark. This is great stuff, gang.
Last week at this time, Ed Woodside had about a 30-pin lead over Mike Morgan. This time, with an 89.5, he's tied with Shawn Baker.
Both bowlers with 89 halves, both with marks going in. 5 marks in a row for Baker, 5 marks in 6 boxes for Woodside. This is unbelievable. Ed Woodside, will he make it? Oh, he missed it. Thought he made the shot. He has to take a 10 box. So that breaks his string.
And he blinks first in this match.
4 marks in a row. $75 in bonus money. That one's off the head pin. He leaves the 4 horsemen on the right side with the 8-pin in the back row. A piece of wood between the 1 and the 3. Not angled real well, but it could change directions. Missed the object pin, the head pin, so he's opened 2 frames in a row after putting 4 marks together. That's a 10 box and a good one. 127 through 8. We'll get to your emails and cards and letters in the second string.
You can come meet Shawn Baker, as well as a lot of other bowlers on the show, on the 11th annual Rockin' Bowl, Sunday, February 29th, just a couple of weeks away at Pilgrim Lanes, 9 in the morning to 1 o'clock. You can bowl with the pros. It's all part of the fundraiser for the kids who bowl out of Pilgrim Lanes, who go to Canada every year for an international tournament up in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Babe Carrington will be there. Mike Morgan, you saw last week. My old friend Mary Wall, Shawn Baker, who you're watching right now. Lots of terrific bowlers, and you're invited. Dick and I will be hosting it, as we do every year. Look forward to seeing you.
8 box for Shawn. 5-pin lead for Ed Woodside.
And that's the first pin standing this match between the two of them, an 8 box for Shawn Baker.
Shawn's trying to break up that split. The pin fell the wrong way.
Three, 6, 10 on the right, the 2-pin on the left. Some wood off to the side, not really much of a factor.
Watch out. Ooh. Shawn was hoping for something to happen off the sidewall here. And the 10 bucks. Going to read a note we got from Harry Wilson from Paxton, Mass. Dick and Mike, in the official Candlepin rules updated June 12, 2000. There's a rule about deadwood in the gutter and the 7 or 10 corner pin as follows. If a ball makes contact with wood in the gutter at the same time as making fair contact with playable wood, the pins felled by such action shall count.
Correct.
In the past, the slightest movement of the pin in the gutter while hitting the corner pin at the same time has been ruled no spare. And it's apparently a rule change, so thanks for calling that to our attention, Harry. And Ed rather will make the spare. Another one of those sheepish grins from Ed as he looked back to the crowd.
Yeah, you mentioned that new rule. I'm not sure how often the rule book is actually physically reprinted, but I remember attending some ICBA meetings in the late 80s where that was being discussed and should it be allowed. And I do recall that it was decided that contact at the same time with the pin on the deck and in the gutter would count in the case of the 7 and the 10. So it's finally in the books, and yes, he's correct about that.
Ed puts 7 in the mark, and another one.
Well, he started with 166 last week. Decent fill here. He beats it.
Well, he's got a possible 164. Put 7 in the mark. 161.
Wow. He's trying to give him too many pins.
Not too bad, not too shabby. 161 for Ed Woodside.
Wow. Spare strike spare. Shawn Baker has 162. He can actually beat it.
Shawn threw a great ball. Spare opportunity here for Shawn.
Not great wood.
That piece of wood on the right, I think it's covering the 9-pin. I think he's okay with it. All he has to do is hit the wood. I think he's got spare for Shawn in the 9th. What great bowling you are watching, and you are watching the best Candlepin bowlers in the world, as you do each and every week on WNDS TV. Missed the head pin. Puts just 4 in the mark.
Very animated bowler with lots of body English to go along with his very, very fiery deliver, Shawn Baker, out of Lynn, Mass.
Right on the head pin. Not going to make the spare. So he is at 143. Go for the 2 on the right. And settle for a 145 for Shawn Baker in the first string. That ain't chopped liver, but he still trails by 16 after 1 to Ed Woodside's 161 as we head to string number 2. When we come back to Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire, you are watching Candlepin Stars and Stripes on WNDS TV. Shawn Baker will be first to bowl in string number 2 as we return to Leda Lanes in Nashua. Dick Lutz with Mike Moore and our entire WNDS TV crew. Our directors today, Kevin LaFawn, Alex Callistoff's on audio. Keith Webb is our engineer. As Shawn Baker starts off the second string with a strike. Jonathan Barras is on replays. You may get to see one right here. Put Jonathan to work right away in the second string, and that 2-pin was the last to go. And there it goes. Trust me, it's going to go as Shawn Baker tries to make it 2 in a row. Sean Holman, Eric Angra, and Brett Bossy. Our camera crew here at Leda Lanes, they all make it possible for you to watch Candlepin Stars and Strikes every week on WNDS TV as Shawn starts with a spare inside of the strike. Rob Fay is the production manager of Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV.
Roger slipping me a note here in the gallery at Leda Lanes. One of the regular attendees at these tapings, Kay Williamson, who sits with Arthur, has just had hip surgery and hopes that she is feeling well and will join us when we tape again in early March for the final ladder series before we go to the Tournament of Champions. So hope you feel better, Kay. Thanks for coming down, and thank you, Roger, for letting us know.
You know, in future tapings, future programs, we're going to do some features on some of the regulars.
We should. We get a lot of mail about.
Yeah, we do.
About the people who attend our broadcasts.
I think we'll get up close and personal with some of them who have been coming to these shows long before you and I started coming to these shows.
Well, they followed the various programs, Channel 5 and some of the other shows.
Channel 27 in Worcester.
Yeah.
The little Bob Foraker show, and then, of course, Don Gillis and his show for many years. Ed missed it that time, so Ed's open in the first 2 frames. So here comes Shawn Baker right back at Ed Woodside. And that'll be a 10 box. With the 2 marks, Shawn Baker's already pulled even.
So to what do you attribute all the email this month? People are staying indoors, going online, perhaps?
Could very well be. It's been so cold.
Yeah, what else is there to do?
Kurt Levesque from Deerfield, New Hampshire. We read one of his emails last week. He sends in another email regarding Webster Lake. We won't get into the pronunciation of Webster Lake, but he says that it's not the longest place name in the world. The town in Wales has 58 letters in it, and he also spells it out here, but I ain't about to try it, as Shawn Baker gets the oohs and ahs from the crowd.
If we have enough time at the end, like we sometimes do, you might give it a whirl.
I'll leave it out, all right? I'll tell you what, I'll hand it to you.
Okay.
You take care of it. Shawn missed the 10 box, leaves the pin standing, and it's a 9. So Shawn's actually taken the lead in the match.
That is ugly. 2, 3, 6, 9, 10 with some wood behind both the 2 and the 3, which could be very helpful if he hits it just right. Hey, we had a big winner last week in the bonus ball contest, $70. Congratulations to our viewer who had that. Put on my reading glasses here. It was Bessie Evangelis from Marlboro. So we start over at $10 again today after the match. The bowlers have kind of slowed the pace just a bit, Dick, after the...
They had to after that first string.
Yeah.
Well, Ed put the ball where he wanted to and didn't really get the result he was looking for. So he'll be open 3 boxes in a row. And he'll take a 9 box. Looking for his first mark of the 2nd string is Ed Woodside.
One of our bowlers who's among elite company to have hit the triple strike jackpot. He did it 4 years ago for $525. Works at Macy's as a sales associate.
And he's going to have a shot at the triple strike jackpot when we come back from the break. All he needs is 2 more. As Ed Woodside and Shawn Baker go head-to-head as you watch Candlepin Stars and Strikes from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. This is WNDS TV. Shawn Baker on lane 34 at Leda Lanes. Candlepin Stars and Strikes presented by the Thompson family of dealerships, McMulkin Chevrolet, Nashua Mitsubishi, Nashua Hyundai, and Nashua Cadillac, all in Nashua, New Hampshire. And by the games of the New Hampshire Lottery, Tri-State Megabucks. Shawn Baker with a strike. No doubt about that one. Watch the replay again. It takes about a nanosecond for all of them to go down. Looking for 2 in a row is Shawn. Will it go? It goes the right way. Oh, it almost fell into the pin. Look at Shawn. Oh, Shawn with the feigned heart attack. Trying to will that pin down. There's a spare for Shawn. Couple of marks back-to-back for Shawn Baker. He has 4 marks in 6 boxes. A 74 half. Ed Woodside working on a strike. Right through the middle, the spread eagle.
Our runner-up today gets $375 plus whatever bonus money accumulated, and the winner goes on to bowl Anthony Pastore, a Leda Lanes bowler, next week. Semi-final round action, and then after that, Gary Carrington, who we saw just a few weeks ago, will return as the top seed this time. Interestingly enough, he had the same qualifying score, 683, when he was last time an 8th seed, and this time, I'm sorry, a 5th seed, and this time he's the top seed with the same score.
Ed just a little bit too full on the head pin that time. The 4-7 on the left, the 10 on the right, the piece of wood certainly is in play and a factor. He's going to miss the wood, though.
I didn't hear anything. Just a bit outside.
That's what he was trying to do the first time. He takes an 8 box. Well, things tightening up here. Shawn Baker with the lead in the match. He leads by 6 pins plus whatever he gets on this ball, as Ed Woodside's 16-pin lead after the first string has dissipated. Seven in the spare.
Tell you, one bowler who thought he was going to be here but ended up being edged was Rich Hallis, Hawk Hallis, coming in 6th place after Shawn Baker in the finals to get on this TV show, bowled a 187. He was in 21st place after 4 strings, then bowls a 187 and plows into the middle of the field at number 3. Rich Hallis, who was sitting there in 5th place, ended up 6th and didn't make the show today.
10 box for Shawn as he missed the spare he thought he made. Want to acknowledge a nice email from Paul Langenfeld from Somerville, Massachusetts. Thank you, Paul, for writing. Nice to hear from you. Shawn with a strike. He almost had 4 marks in a row. He would have had he made the spare in the last box that he thought he was going to make. So the strike in the 8th for Shawn Baker. Ed Woodside tries to answer, does everything but convert the strike. The 9-pin in the back row still wobbling. Wood surrounds it. He's got it.
He'll be up against a Shawn Baker strike in the 8th frame.
We made reference last week to a lot of inquiries we've been getting about Irene McGowan. As Ed Woodside puts a couple of marks together. Irene's been a regular attendee at our tapings for many, many years, even before Mike and I started doing the show, and she's missed the last couple of tapings. We're assured that she's well. It's been a transportation issue. She's not been able to get here, and Aileen LeBlanc wrote this email inquiring about Irene, and that's the information we have, and we look forward to seeing Irene back at future tapings.
So it's the 2-4-5, hoping to put a spare on his strike.
Missed the spare the same way he missed it the last time around. Throw a great ball and just did not convert.
So Rich Hallis in the qualifying round came in 6th. Some of the other bowlers we'd like to acknowledge, but that you're not going to see, is Joe Tavernese, who you saw a couple of weeks ago. Sean McKinley, been a while since we've had him on the show, was 9th. Rich Clark of Bedford, New Hampshire, came in 11th. Bruno DeFeo was 12th. Chris Sargent tied for 13th. Dave Richards at 15th. Some of the bowlers you didn't get to see, but who made a pretty good showing.
Chris is still around, huh?
Well, you know, I was thinking that same thing myself.
Thought he was going to Florida to play golf.
I guess he missed the cold weather too much and had to come back. We'll have to ask around and see what's up with that.
Shawn will be open in the 10th. He's at 139. He has missed a couple of spares by this much. 3 spares that I can think of now that coulda, woulda, shoulda. takes the 10 box. He finishes with a 140. 285 for 2 strings for Shawn. That's pretty consistent. A 145 in the first string, a 140 in the second string. Now Ed Woodside's working on a double mark. He led after 1 by 16. Shawn Baker came back to take the lead. Now Woodside's working on some marks and looking for more. Thin hit, a lot of action. Tough shot here. This is the 3-7-10. Wood in the back row. Just 8 in the strike as he's not able to convert. And he'll be open in the 9th with a 9 box. He's at 109 through 9. So he'll certainly give some of that lead, if not all of it, back to Shawn Baker. He needs a mark and a 5 to send us into the 3rd string in a dead heat. He's got a tough shot ahead. The 2, 4, 6. Ooh, he almost made it. But he'll be trailing going into the 3rd string. It's a 9 box, a 118 second string, a 6-pin lead for Shawn Baker over Ed Woodside. After 2, we're headed to the 3rd and final string. Should be an exciting finish. Don't you dare go away. Come on back to Leda Lanes for Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. Ed Woodside will be first to bowl. 3rd string beginning at Leda Lanes in Nashua. Dick Lutz with Mike Morin. Our WNDS TV crew, a tight match. 6 pins separate these 2 fine bowlers. Ed Woodside, a 161 in the first string, a 118 in the second. Quite similar to last week when he bowled a 166 in the first string and then came back with a 109 in the second string and then went on to beat Mike Morgan quite comfortably.
So I guess you try to cap the pin right in front of the 9.
That's what he did.
And you got them both. And a good start for Ed Woodside, who's just 6 pins behind Shawn Baker, who was trailing him by about 16 pins. So things have changed just a bit, but still just a mark apart. It's the old spread eagle.
Couple of emails. One is a very basic question. How can I play in the tournament? Participate in the roll-off at Leda Lanes, and you can call Leda Lanes anytime to get information on the next roll-off, when it may be happening. And they'll be happy to give you all of the information. Leda Lanes, 603-889-4884. 603-889-4884, or check out LedaLanes.org. Ray Simino and Sean Howard and their staff will be happy to help you out with all of the information you need. They do a great job each and every month at our tapings and in the roll-offs, getting the competitors set and ready to go and lined up for their appearances on television. Talk about people dedicated to the game of Candlepin bowling. You just won't find any more dedicated people than Ray and Sean and the people who work here at Leda Lanes. It's their life, and they just love it. They love being around it.
People often ask me, what kind of an average do you need to get on the show? Well, it's basically open competition, so anybody can try. However, most people have had averages at least 115. We've had a couple bowlers under 110 that have actually done okay. Most of the bowlers are somewhere in the neighborhood of 120 and up. But don't let that discourage you if you'd like to give it a shot. Get in touch with Leda Lanes.
And roll-offs are ongoing.
Yes, but there'll be just one more now because we've got one ladder to take care of in the month of March.
Shawn will get it with the ball, slow motion. Watch it again, I hope, and you'll see the ball. It hit the pin. It capped the deadwood. Watch, keep your eyes on the ball again. The ball gets kind of slows down. It's slow motion. It takes out that 8-pin. Wasn't that something?
Almost looked like it had some backspin at first, like a pool shot.
Ed Woodside tries to respond. Leaves the 7-pin. Straight shot on the 7-pin. Got it. Good cover by Ed Woodside there. as he responds to the Shawn Baker mark. 2 marks and 3 frames for Ed Woodside. Right through the middle, put 5 in the mark. Broke up the spread eagle by having the 10-pin cave in, but still a tough shot. Takes the 3 on the left. You look at these 2 young guys. They're 2 good-looking guys, hard-working guys. Just a credit to the game. They really speak well for the game of Candlepin bowling and the future of Candlepin bowling. They're young guys that just are really fun to watch, and they love being out there.
Shawn Baker, of course, a product of the junior program. I'm not sure if Ed Woodside was a junior bowler. I wouldn't be surprised. I know his kids are. It's a way to get your kids introduced to the game, see if they like it. You don't have to be great to have a good time. It's a great social activity and relatively inexpensive compared to other things kids can do these days.
Will it go? It will not. He just put 5 in the mark and almost converted the spare.
We've often talked about the fact that when we were kids, here comes the old when we were kids stories, you know, bowling was 3 strings for $1.
When I can beat you on that one.
And I'm sure a lot of our viewers can as well that are perhaps older than we are.
Now, there were specials at recreation lanes in Worcester when I was a kid. We used to get 6 strings for $1.
6 for
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Will it go? Watch out. The backdoor shot leaves just the head pin. All the 9 pins behind the head pin go down. The head pin still stands. There it goes. The mark for Shawn Baker in the 4th frame. We go to the break, and we've got a very tight match. 4 pins separate these 2 fine bowlers when we return to Leda Lanes in Nashua for Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS-TV. All right, here's Ed Woodside trailing Shawn Baker. Baker with a 4-pin lead plus a ball, actually, so it's a mark lead for Shawn Baker, so Ed needs to string a couple together. That one's off the head pin. And he leaves the 1, the 2, the 6, and the 10.
Should mention the bowler with the highest string each week gets another $50 in bonus money. And so far today, that's Ed Woodside at 161. And he won it last week with 166. Lots of different ways that the bowlers can earn some extra cash besides the position money that is offered each week. And he'll end up with an 8 in the 5th frame. The biggest prize, of course, is the triple strike jackpot, which always gets reset at $500 whenever it's hit. Right now, $625 is where we stand on that. A lot of bowling centers, Dick, have little rolling jackpots as well that bowlers might put $1 or $2 on a week for maybe a 4-bagger, and those can get into the sometimes thousands of dollars before anybody hits them.
Ed's going to be open for a couple of boxes, and it's going to be costly to him. Eileen Gallant of Fitchburg, Mass. writes that she and her husband enjoy the show very much. They watch the reruns even the following week. She scolds her family, Michael, if they plan parties for the grandkids opposite the bowling show. She usually tells them she'll be late, and she'll be along as soon as the bowling show ends. Eileen Gallant of Fitchburg, thank you very much. She was typing to us as she was watching Gary Carrington and Scott Bradish bowl a few weeks ago.
And in a couple of weeks, you get to see Gary Carrington once again 2 weeks from now. Yeah, I like, what's her name, Eileen?
Eileen, yeah.
She's among the legions of people that refuse to tape the show and want to watch it as it's being broadcast. Good for her.
Shawn went for it. Tried to cut the 2 over to the 10. Couldn't do it. And a 9 box. Shawn nursing a lead here. That's about 12 or 13 pins. Tough shot coming here for Shawn Baker.
We haven't mentioned Shawn is a licensed electrician, local 103, working for John Penny Electric in Cambridge. Enjoys golf and softball. His wife is Carrie, married in September of 2000.
Shawn's going to be open in the 6th frame. That leaves the door open a little bit for Ed Woodside. And that will be a 9 box. He leads by 13 pins. He's added 7 to the 6-pin lead he had after 2 strings. So 13 pins separate these two boulders with 4 boxes remaining. Ed Woodside needs to mark. That's a pretty good way to do it. Watch it again. This one was a no-doubter. Look at all the action. Look at those pins go left to right, right to left across the back. They just fly across the alley.
5-pin didn't have a chance. It was last to go, but it was getting hit from all sides.
Well, that one got away from him, and he threw a half Worcester. But he's got another ball to fill the strike. That's a good ball right there. He put 8 in the strike. And a 9 box. So now, depending on what Shawn Baker does in these 2 boxes, if he marks, he could make it real difficult for Ed Woodside. But if he's open, the last 2 boxes will be a dash to the finish. Tough shot coming.
So Shawn wonders, should he use the pins over on the right against the single 10-pin? And probably that's what he'll do. He was eyeing it up.
Oh, what a shot by Shawn.
Beautiful. Pressure shot. Money shot. He took an extra moment and eyed up the pins, as you're going to take another look here. Just as the ball was ready to go into the gutter, he was able to scatter the pins over to take out the 4 and the 7.
7 pins in the spare as he missed the head pin. I want to acknowledge a note we received from Mary Packard from Goffstown, New Hampshire. Thank you, Mary. She looks forward each week to watching the show. Some of the issues Mary raised in her note have already been addressed. And a 10 box for Shawn. 13-pin lead with 2 boxes remaining. Ed Woodside needs to run the table here and put a little pressure on Shawn. He needs to mark in both frames. He threw a great first ball. He leaves the 7-pin. It wobbled, it was tapped, but it does not fall. Good spare by Ed Woodside in the 9th frame. Those single pins are not as easy as they look. Needs another one here. Needs a good fill and another mark to force the issue with Shawn Baker. Good first ball, just grabbed the head pin. Can he break up the split? He cannot. Tough shot here for Ed Woodside.
The wood isn't great, but he's got no choice but to use it. Across the 6 and the 10.
Just hit it and hope something sprays. It came in front of the 7-pin. You would not have expected that to happen. It actually came across the lane in front of the 7. He finishes with a 10 box and a 117. Shawn Baker needs 14 pins to tie, 15 pins to win in the final 2 frames.
And he knows what close bowling is all about. He was the victim of Jeff Surratt a couple of weeks ago, losing by 1 pin.
There's the match right there, the strike by Shawn Baker in the 9th frame. So Shawn will climb the ladder to take on Anthony Pastore next week as you watch the strike in the 9th frame by Shawn Baker.
He'll be over 400.
He won't get the triple strike jackpot. Ed Woodside with a 412 last week. He finished this week with a 396. Shawn will be open in the 10th frame. He's at 125, 126, 3rd string for Shawn, a 3-string total of 411. He beats Ed Woodside's 396. Shawn Baker advances to next week's match against Anthony Pastore. We are back to talk to our bowlers when we return to Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire for the conclusion of Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV.
Shawn Baker defeats Ed Woodside. The final score 411. to 396. Ed Woodside standing alongside will hand out some money first. First, it's $375, the runner-up check. You had some bonus money as well, $75 in bonus money, another $50 for having the high string in the match. You had another $175 last week, so a pretty good payday and all. 396, you're going to win most of the time, aren't you?
Yeah, I felt pretty good out there. Couldn't sustain anything on alley 33, though, that last string. That hurt me a little.
Last week you jumped out with 6 marks in a row in the first string. This week, in the first string, 5 marks and 6 strings, but Shawn was right there with you.
Yeah, Shawn bowled really well. I mean, his ball was in there every time. So
what's going through your mind when you know you're bowling well, and you put 5 marks on the board in 6 boxes, and you're on your way to a big first string, a 160 plus first string, but the guy you're bowling is hanging there right with you?
Yeah, well, like they say, there's no defense in this game. It's all offense, so you just got to keep throwing, hope for the best.
It's that dreaded number 4 spot, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what it was. If I was 5th, I might have went all the way.
Well, it's so funny. We were talking about how many bowlers start in the junior programs, and I was not really sure if you were a product of the junior programs.
Yeah,
you were.
Yes.
And I think your kids are involved with, in fact, Joey Stella's kids, right?
Right, exactly.
So a good future for the game, in your opinion, of watching the juniors bowl week after week?
Well, we're on the way up. I was telling my wife, there's a lot of young kids. They're around 14, 15. They can't wait to get to 17 and bowl in like my Tuesday night league, and they're already talking about the pro league and all that stuff, so it looks good.
That's good. Good to hear.
Ed, congratulations to you. We'll look forward to seeing you again. Ed Woodside, our runner-up here this afternoon, loser to Shawn Baker, 411 to 396. Now, Shawn will do the bonus ball contest. First, Mike will draw a card out of the bin. We gave away $70 last week, and let's see if we can get a winner this week. We're giving away $10 as we recycle the bonus money, and this is Bernice Benoit of Grafton, Massachusetts. Shawn, she wants you to get a 7. Let's see if Shawn can get a 7. And if not, it's a consolation prize from N&R Trophy in Winchendon, Massachusetts. There it is, just like that. So Bernice Benoit from Grafton, Massachusetts. $10 is on its way to you.
I think we ought to give the bowlers,
WNDS-TV.
like a commission when they hit it like that, like 15% or something.
So you can do it just that easy. Go up to there and say, I'll get a 7, huh?
No, we can try. That's all we can do is try.
Great start, Eddie, with the 161 in the first string, but you hung in there with him. You didn't let him get out of sight and stayed within reach.
Yeah, well, that's what I tried to do. He was bowling great. He's throwing strikes and doubles, and I'm just trying to go up there and just try to match as best I can and stay in the hunt. Don't put myself too far behind.
We were talking during the course of the match. You throw one of the hardest balls that we see in Candlepin bowling. Is there anybody that you know that throws harder than you that you've seen or bowled against or with?
Sargent definitely throws harder. There's a lot of guys out there that throw the ball pretty hard too. It's hard to tell, you know.
Have you always been a hard thrower, or have you tried different ways to throw the ball?
No, I've always been pretty much that style. It's just, I don't know how it came about, you know.
Did the coaches ever try to talk you into bowling any other way, or did they realize that you were successful the way you were bowling and they just gave you a few pointers here and there?
Well, they tried to, slowing down your second ball. That's kind of a big thing, more accuracy on your second ball instead of an explosion. But maybe 3 steps instead of bowling 5 steps. But yeah, there's been some tips along the way.
Well, we know for sure that you are a product of the junior programs, and I'm sure you highly recommend it to parents who have young kids thinking about the game.
Absolutely. I definitely get your kids out there. You know, that's what we need right now. We need the kids in the game. And
he's just a kid himself, for goodness sake.
28 for he's a baby.
Shawn, congratulations. We'll see you next week.
All right, way to go.
Shawn Baker, our winner here this afternoon, 411 to 396 over Ed Woodside, and up the ladder we go.
Talking about youngsters, Anthony Pastore, even younger than Shawn Baker and a little younger than you and I, will be here next week.
We'll look forward to it. We'll look forward to seeing you as well. That does it from Leda Lanes in Nashua for Candlepin Stars and Strikes. It's Shawn Baker and Anthony Pastore next week. For Mike Morin and our entire crew, I'm Dick Lutz.